It was interesting. I got an email from, I was preaching in Spring Hill last Sunday, and I got an email from the pastor in Spring Hill thanking me for preaching and acknowledging, almost in jest, I had an offer to go be part of a search committee for a pastoral position in Cleveland, Ohio. And Pastor Favor responded, "But don't go." And it was interesting because I was sitting on some news myself about me no longer being able to be here, and so I finally reached out to him later on in the week and told him that I was probably going to be moving to St. Louis, and we found out yesterday that we'll definitely be going, and it'll be very quickly. So it was just about 2 years ago that I met Pastor Favorite in the airport, and I was going to St. Louis, Missouri at the time to see about my grandmother who had gotten very ill. And it was funny because I went to the wrong gate, and I turned around and Pastor Favorite was sitting there. And some of you have probably heard this before, but I looked at him and I said, "How do I know you? Who are you?" And he looked back at me. He said, "I'm Pastor Favorite." And at the time, I'm like, "Well, why am I supposed to know who you are?" He said, "I don't know." So we spent a couple minutes going back and forth, and I asked him where his church was, and he invited me to come to worship at Beulah. Now, what he didn't know at the time is I hadn't preached in 11 years. And I went to St. Louis and buried my grandmother. And it was the first time I had preached in 11 years. On my way back, I came back and I called Pastor Favor during the week, found out where the church was, and came and visited. I believe it was right before church anniversary. And God asked me to tell Pastor Favor my story and do whatever he asked me to do. So I came down, sat down, we spent about an hour together, and I told him everything that had happened in my call to the ministry, my running from the ministry, and he invited me to preach that for his Sunday. I told him I needed to check on my wife. And I called him back about 3 days later and said I would be able to preach. He said, "I already put you down." So since I've been at Beulah, I've grown tremendously. I've received a lot more than I've been able to give. I have a whole new family, and God has truly blessed me to have the opportunity to baptize one of my children. Have another one of my children asked to be baptized and choose Jesus Christ as his Lord and Savior. I've got a chance to hear some tremendous ministers, meet some outstanding parishioners, and I feel like I've grown more in the last 2 years than I ever have. I'm going to take my trip to St. Louis as a vacation from home. I will always consider this home. I'm going to sit down, but I want to say this. There are no coincidences with the Lord. It is truly at the times when you feel like you're working on your own the most that you're truly being led. And if you could just be quiet for a little while